and let us all do we can to build a better future. I played this video of Briahna Joy Gray having a guest on her show where she agreed with the talking points from Tulsi Gabbard about the Democratic Party being pro-war. And good old Joe, no, not Joe Biden, not Joe Rogan, not Morning Joe, Joe Cicerone was, just shocked and appalled, flabbergasted that somebody was saying that the Democratic Party is not peaceful and that there's no anti-war movement. But there's another clip here too that I want to share with all of you. And it has to deal with the fact that the anti-war movement, for the most part, here in the United States, it's dead. This isn't a debate. This is a fact. This is a solid fact about the anti-war movement. Now, I saw firsthand from 2016 through 2020 when Daniel and I were out there in the field covering stories, for Hardlens Media when we were starting off, there were a lot of anti-war protests happening. People so angry at Trump. But since the Biden-Harris administration got into office, just like the anti-war movement and so many other progressive protest organizations, they disappeared. Apparently, they all went to brunch. So I want to play this video here, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Is the anti-war movement dead? The correct answer is yes.
Instead of issuing a retraction, they could have issued an updated letter that still made the point.
So she issued a clarification on Monday morning and then another clarification on Monday afternoon. But it was clear you had to staunch the bleeding. I mean, it was a terrible message. And you can see
the bleeding. It made it worse, Joe. It made it worse because now there's confirmation that the right, and now the right is doing a victory lap, that there is no.
This is something Daniel and I have warned about when we got onto radio, when we got onto CAN TV, when we got on the other radio station, and when we started off on YouTube as well. We said this. I'm just going to say it again because we have the video archive. Go back all the way to the beginning. We just only had a Galaxy S7 cell phone recording our interviews on the street. There would be a point if the Democrats kept on screwing around, they were going to drop the ball and the Republicans were going to take a victory lap over the Democrats for being indecisive. Now, the thing is, the Democrats know what they're doing. The Democrats know that they're being failures. The Democrats know what they're doing. They're losing on purpose because if they ever follow through with one of their promises, guess what? It means they can no longer fundraise. It means they lose their bread and butter. They lose the ability to scare people to give them money or give them an incentive to vote. But let's be very clear here. When the 30 members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus took back that letter to the Biden-Harris administration imploring for peace and diplomacy, they opened the floodgates for absolute criticism from the Republican Party. And if you're in the Republican Party in the United States Senate and House, if you're part of the RNC, you would be a fool and an idiot not to capitalize on that. With the Congressional Progressive Caucus making such a dumb decision, but let's face it, they made a decision. They made a decision. They knew what they were doing. By doing so, they gave political ammunition for the GOP to be critical of them. And also, whatever remained of independents or progressives that wanted to vote for them begrudgingly is evaporating at a very fast pace, which is why I have to say, I'm going to vote independent. I'm going to vote third party. All of you, I know all of you are burnt out by electoral politics, but maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing here. But with the Democrats pulling back that letter, the Congressional Progressive Caucus also failing on every single issue because they have confidence in the Biden-Harris administration. They're showing people that they're weak. They're not leaders. Pramila Jayapal is not a leader. Ilhan Omar is not a leader. AOC is not a leader. They're influencers who are now in Washington, D.C., making policy decisions over our lives. They got time to go to town halls and Met Gala events and be on the cover of Vogue or any other jagoff magazine. They just don't have time to really follow through with any of their promises. So we're going to wind this back just a little bit.
And you can see
the bleeding. It made it worse, Joe. It made it worse because now there's confirmation that the right and now the right is doing a victory lap, that there is no quarter for an anti-war movement in the United States and America except for on the right side of the aisle. It's been confirmed by the retraction of this letter.
No, you see, that's what I mean. You're identifying this letter with the entire anti-war movement. Did the entire anti-war movement sign up on this? Did they agree to these terms? No. Big.
Okay, so here's the thing. Hey, anti-war movement. Let me get some water for this. Where are you at? Anti-war movement. Where'd you go? You would think, they would be on the streets calling for the end of this war. I mean, there has been some incidences, but the only times I've seen anti-war movements happening or protesters happening is when you have Jose Vega and his colleagues calling out people like Senator Booker, Senator Warren, Representative AOC, Representative Ilhan Omar, Representative Ayanna Presley, Representative Pramila Jayapal, and the rest. But these are just a handful of people. Where are the people in the streets? They're at brunch. The anti-war movement, especially a lot of them, have been co-opted by the Democratic Party. They're getting that corporate money, that Democrat money. That's what's happened to the anti-war movement. And that letter that those so-called fantastic 30 members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus signed, that was just a test. And of course, corporate media and everyone that's been, receiving Russiagate propaganda, of course, they're going to violently react to it. But let me tell you this. Are you upset that your tax dollars, 80 billion plus, has gone to Ukraine and it's going to be ongoing for quite some time? Our government is finding money to fund a war, but yet we don't have Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness. People are being evicted from their homes and apartments. Small business owners are being shut down. The price of gas is rising up. The price of food is rising up. I mean, aren't you angry? I mean, you see it, and I don't care what generation you're part of, the color of your skin, who you worship, how old or young you are, or who you voted for. I think universally, millions of Americans can agree. They're probably scratching their head and thinking, wait a minute, hold on. The Democratic Party and these politicians are finding money for war, but what about the rest of us? But yet when we call for peace or diplomacy, oh, you're a right-winger, you're a fascist, you're a tyrant, you're a dictator, you're an evil person, you're not mentally sound, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a bad guy, you're the villain. Calling for diplomacy and world peace, calling for talks. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you call for peace? Let's continue on.
Peace movement in the United States.
No.
You want a genuine peace. And this is not a rejection of diplomacy. It's a rejection of dumb diplomacy.
It's the Democratic Party's repudiation of that anti-war movement.
No, it is not at all. In fact, look at the front page of the Washington Post today, the day we're recording this. There's a big story about allies are now questioning American staying power on support for Ukraine. Why? Two reasons. One, the MAGA movement. They don't want to support this. The Republicans, 53 Republicans voted against aid to Ukraine. Kevin McCarthy is saying if he's elected House Speaker, we're going to reconsider all our aid to Ukraine.
Look, and that's something we need to consider because all this money is going there. And again, we've covered on the show, there's been a lack of accountability. What's going to happen to all those weapons that we're sending there too? Are they ever going to be, sent back? Is anyone really properly tracking them? And the thing is, I will rarely agree with a politician or a group of politicians when they come up with, because again, these politicians are liars. But for the rare moments when a broken clock is right twice a day, I'll say, yeah, let's have diplomatic talks. Let's stop this right now. Let's put both parties at a table right now and hash out the terms so this war in Ukraine can end. Because if it continues on, like I said on the show, mushroom clouds in the sky, anti-war movement, where the hell are you at? God damn. And we got a lot of pushback, Daniel and I, when we were on radio and even when we were starting off on YouTube, when we were really calling the question just before 2020 happened, if the Democrats do drop the ball. And we didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, obviously, we know now, but 2018, we were saying this on the show. There's a very good chance that the Democrats could screw it up. Because you still have Hillary Clinton, you still have all the other jagoff Democrats holding on to power, and these corporate Democrats would rather lose to Trump than have someone like Bernie Sanders in office. And with the progressive movement where it's at, looks like Daniel and I were correct. Looks like all of independent media was correct. Jimmy Dore was correct. RBN Network is correct. All of you are correct as well. The Democrats did this on purpose, and they co-opted every single group, which is why I say on the show, we need to start building movements and organizations that are not connected to either party in Washington, D.C. You have any kind of association or relations with the Democratic or Republican Party, your movement and organization will be co-opted, neutered, and then killed. Simple as that. It'll be a husk of what it once was.
Ukraine. And then the other thing they cite is this letter and the effort by only 30 members to force a change. And they're saying fissures are opening up, and they're right. And this is true, because the longer the war goes on and as the bills pay up, it is going to be more difficult to get Western support to maintain. And that's what Putin is counting on.
Okay, yeah, Putin, this evil mastermind, all right? Russia's GDP is smaller than South Korea. But anyways, apparently this Jagoff, though, was really offended and butthurt that I guess Briahna Joy Gray was, really challenging him. And he got so offended. So first, let's pull up what he had to say, because apparently he got upset. Good old Joe. He said, I've done a lot of interviews on the right and left. Never has a host weaponized the interview to attack me and encourage their supporters to post hundreds of insults and smears without correction. Don't make my mistake. Never go on Bad Face Podcast with Briahna Joy Gray. Oh, are your feelings hurt? Oh, cry me a river. Oh, no, I was challenged. Oh, no, the interview that I did. Let's keep this up here. The interview that I did with Briahna Joy Gray, it's hurting me. Don't make my mistake. Oh, audience, don't make his mistake. Never go on the Bad Face Podcast. I'd go on the Bad Face Podcast if she ever invited me. I'd go. Joey, you can't take a good old criticism? You've been on interviews on the left and right? Hey, what? Hold on. Notice this. Notice this right here. Okay. First sentence. This is how you know he's lying. And he's just really offended that Briahna Joy Gray just took him to school. I've done a lot of interviews on the right and left. We're going to stop right there. We're going to stop right there. Because I'm in charge. Because I'm in charge of everything. So that means, buddy, you were on some right-wing shows? How could you? That's unreal. You can't be on right-wing shows. Look at that. That's how you know he's lying. What a jagoff. And again, he's doing a screenshot here. And he's offended. He's hurt. He's crying. He crapped his pants and now he doesn't know how to take off his pants and wipe his rear end. I've been on a lot of interviews on the right and left. Never has a host weaponized the interview to attack me and encourage their supporters. No way. I've seen all these clips on Briahna Joy Gray's Twitter account, buddy. Okay? Nowhere in those tweets is she saying, oh, now every one of my followers, get him, my pretties, rip him a new one, tear his face off, beat him to death. No, she didn't tweet that out, buddy. She just posted clips of the interview and statements that you said on her show. Right? That's what happened. Hey, Joe, look, I'll give you an invite to be on my show. You can smile your pearly whites on the Hard Lens Media Show if you want to be on our network. Gonna say, don't make my mistake. Never go on Bad Face Podcast with Briahna Joy Gray. What's wrong with you? Call yourself a grown-ass man on the internet? You deserve the criticism. You deserve it. So here's what Briahna Joy Gray wrote in response. She should have wrote, I'm sorry you feel like you deserve an apology. I'm sorry you feel this way. Briahna, next time, Briahna, direct eye contact. Hold on. Wait. Ah, God, gosh darn it. Briahna, direct eye contact. The next time you're going to write a tweet like that, don't put in, I'm sorry you feel this way. Just say, I'm sorry you feel like you deserve an apology. It's just better that way. Listen to old Kit Kat on this one. So she writes, I'm sorry you feel this way. If there are clips that you think better represent your argument, I'm happy to ask my producer to pull them. As has been done for over 200 episodes, the producer has pulled clips to promote the podcast. I'm not responsible for guests' unpopular views. Okay, yeah. So basically, the truth is, again, the anti-war movement's dead, and that's the truth. And he's like, "Oh, don't make my mistake. Never go on Bad Face Podcast." That's how I'm putting that voice in my head. So, folks, let's have democracy in the chat. If you've seen the videos on the Twitter page, on Briahna Drag Race Twitter page, I mean, were they controversial? Type 1 if you think that. Type 5 if you think they were controversial. Type 6 if this is what you've seen all the time when Briahna Drag Race has guests on her show. And what she's speaking is the truth. Have you seen the anti-war movement? Where are they at? We have money for war. We're seeing our politicians vote for ongoing war. And this is going to severely impact the Democrats in this midterm election cycle. I guess, hey, Tulsi Gabbard is right about the Democratic Party. She is correct on it. Just like the Republican Party, the Democratic Party is filled with warmongers. And that's a fact. Simple as that.